the kratom is kratom.
This one's the new Chucky.
Don't
you do it.
Don't you do it. Yo, clap. Hola Mi Gente. We're back on another episode of
Raices NYC. And on this episode, we have
Caro, Carolina. I'm a painter, aspiring musician, do a little bit of everything, but for the most part, I guess I'm just an artist.
But before we start, I do want to say thank you so much to Manuel for allowing us to use his studio for this podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me, guys.
Of course. We're super excited to have you. I feel like we've just DM'd, we've talked here and there, but never really sat down in person and stuff. It's been exciting to see your journey though, because I know the last thing that we heard from you was the Valentine's Day gallery, and that was really nice to see you pulling all of that together, and I'm pretty sure that was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a lot.
No, definitely. I was very sad that I couldn't go. I was like, oh man, but Adi went, so that was great. She was telling me all about it. She was telling me all her favorite parks of the show, the gallery, and everything. But yeah, how was that?
It was oh my gosh, it was a lot. I feel like it went from being this really fun, exciting thing, and then I realized that I was way over my head. It was
really
the artist, the first time I'd ever done anything like this. And I was between that or a solo show, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of my art is on theme. Pero yo soy muy penosa. In general, I'm more of a community person. I don't like to have the spotlight fully on me all the time at all. So I was like, let's do a solo show. It'll take the pressure off. But I think it just made the pressure tenfold.
So you hadn't planned your own gallery like that for other artists?
Never.
No.
So it was really exciting. It was my first time. Me lo propuse el año pasado. And then,
oh wow! So it was since last year that you had that idea.
So it's how you were talking about. Everything that you want is already yours.
Yes.
It was something that I mentioned at the beginning of last year.
Wow.
I just mentioned it. Y como que se me fue la idea.
Mm-hmm.
I got lost in the sauce, and it just came to my lap 2 months prior.
Yeah,
whoa.
I think because me and Huga have had so many instances like that, and that's why I was speaking about it, because everything that you want is out there. You just have to manifest it, talk about it, and slowly but surely it'll get to you one way or another.
Yeah.
When you go for it and you're actually working hard, the universe, it rewards you. But also I always say divine timing, it knows when you're ready and where it's time for you to get that do that challenge and succeed.
I don't know if the gallery you were planning it on your own. But even the fact that it was your first time, I can imagine it's just so hard. Us planning events is just us together is hard on its own.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine tu solita
it was just you.
Yeah, big props.
And I had a lot of help from Wendy.
Okay.
Yeah. She kind of stepped in whenever she saw that I was crashing out a little bit. But no, yeah, I'm grateful to have that opportunity. I've seen a lot of collaborations come across from the artists that were in the show. So I think that's what I do it for,
So
We're
you yourself are opening doors for other artists.
I would like to think so.
No,
that's
it's
what
true.
I want.
It's true. It definitely is true.
Anything that you do, I feel like people can just get inspiration from. So they see if Caro can do it, I can do it too. People can think like that, and they'll get inspired by you of what you've done. How does it feel to have eyes on you?
I know, my God.
Because you said you are penosa, she's like, I didn't even want to do this interview.
Es como ese tema de que I know that I have a lot to say. I haven't painted. That's what hurts me. But when I do, I know that I am good at what I do, and I should be heard. It's just, I think, building the confidence.
Sometimes we're so stuck in our heads and our thoughts that we can't seem to come out of it. You know, it's oh, should I do this? Should I do that? No, I can't. Or no, it has to go this way, or it has to be perfect. We could get so stuck in that way. So what's something that you do to you know what, fuck it, I'll just do it. It's whether it's a song, something, what do you do to be go out there and get it?
She's
the kratom.
Yeah, the kratom is kratom.
feel the energy.
You were warned. The tough questions.
We mentioned a song. I do listen to music a lot. I think it puts you on another plane. Even when I'm painting, it's just like you have your certain songs for painting. If I'm feeling extremely uninspired, I put on some Radiohead, and it's just like,
okay.
I get in the zone. I love Radiohead. I love music so much. I think that's kind of what I feel like with everybody, right? I feel like that's very generic, but life has soundtracks, and I think that there's certain music from when I was really young that has made me want to create. So sometimes, let's say I listen to like a song. I've always loved Bjork. There's no Bjork. I love Bjork. Bjork, Radiohead. I love Kanye. I'm a big Kanye fan. Pero pues,
Canceled.
you know,
Scandal.
Oh yeah, that's a cancel
it's so
episode. My
embarrassing.
bad.
That music that I listened to when I was really young, it brings me back to my younger self, and then I look at myself where I am now, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like the grandest thing ever. It's just like if my younger self was looking at me, she would be so happy. She would be so proud because I did mention to you that I've been wanting to be in New York and I've been wanting to do art,
and you're doing it, girl. You are doing it.
Yeah, props to you for taking that step.
I don't know if they know, but you aren't originally from New York. You're actually from Texas, and so that's a huge culture shock.
Yeah.
too.
You really you changing it like you was like really in another.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that?
It was really hard in Texas. Lo tienes todo aquí, like everything is here. You drive anywhere, you go to Walmart, you get fucking everything you need. When I first moved here, I was living in my university, so I was living in a financial district. I don't know if you guys have ever been around there. No hay nada. Like I'm like, where do I go? Like get vegetables.
There's nothing there.
It was
¿Dónde
weird.
está el Walmart? ¿Dónde está el
Walmart, bro?
Walmart?
Y no tener coche, and then it's just like you're telling me I have to carry out my groceries. Like, y luego I would get so homesick.
Carry this.
I'm just a girl.
Especially over there porque no hay nada.
No, and everything in the financial district is super expensive as well.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought about.
I was like, girl, the financial district,
oh my
like, oof.
I remember when I moved, I didn't have a job, and it's a complicated situation with my parents, right? Because they're already paying my tuition, and I've never been the type to ask for anything more. So I didn't have a job. I realized that I had $800, and I didn't know what I was gonna do because I wasn't gonna ask my parents for money.
Yeah.
That's I don't think that's cool. Being in financial district, it was weird. I had to find my ways, and I still have a little bit of that. Like sometimes I feel like I have no money, but I'm fine now. Pero es ese pánico que luego me entra from those days. I found myself going to Corona a lot when I was during that time in my life when I was like 18, 19, because it was the closest thing that I could find to what felt like Houston, like felt like home. Because I'm from like a part that's super, super Mexicano.
I feel like you just talking, it's like, I feel like we have such a different perspective of how we grew up here,
Yeah.
And we're like, the grocery store is down the block, but it's like, no, you like came from a different perspective. You came from a different upbringing, even let alone like just growing up in Texas and like coming here at 18 is super different than how we grew up. So like just hearing your story and like how, you had to like struggle and fight through that. I definitely understand, all of the panic that comes from that. Now it's kind of hard to like get out of that, in a way that's still like that 18-year-old is still like stuck in there, like your inner child is still stuck in there,
inner adolescence.
Edgy.
I'm always on the verge of tears.
No.
But
joking.
because like we're like, oh, like Mexicans are all over New York City, but it's like because we grew up here, we know where. But like if somebody comes here like out of nowhere, they're like, where do I go?
And I landed in Manhattan, bro.
Yeah, the worst. I'll be honest, the worst spot. Cause
because I'm from Manhattan.
Yeah.
Not even where mine was. It's
Really?
like that. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's why Sunset is so special.
Yeah.
When I
I'm always
moved here, I was walking from the subway to like my apartment. And I was looking at the neighborhood, bro. Oh my gosh, I started crying.
Oh my god!
You started.
I started crying because I mean, I've moved
Yeah.
every year for 6 years almost, and
Oh, wow.
nothing felt like
Like home.
home. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
you know, you
Yeah.
got the queso fresco dando blah,
Yeah,
you
bro.
know, conchas, el pan,
El pan.
el café.
Everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
everything is
boy.
Yeah.
You start appreciating more of everything that you
Yeah.
have. You know, things
Mhm.
that we just take for granted now. Like we're hearing everyone like, whoa. So
He's like, I appreciate my conchas so much.
yo, I like my pan, I like my helado, like all of that, and it's just everything's like right there now.
How has it been like ever since you found that comfort within this community? How has it been like being here for like more like, how
About a year now.
a year now? Yeah.
I'm about to hit a year here. Me siento mucho más estable. Yo siento que si me mudo de aquí, no va a ser para pues ningún otro lugar en Nueva York, porque yo creo que ya encontré mi fin, like my end game here. If I were to move from here, it's because I'm moving out the country or something like that.
Whoa,
You know?
okay.
Yeah.
All right, like that. She's like, we're moving big. We're, like not moving at all. Yeah. What other projects do you have now that you want to do? We're entering halfway through the year. Something else, something new that goes through your head. As you know, we're all overthinkers, but also we always think about what's next.
Yeah, what's next? I was thinking about this earlier. I think about what you said. It's also like a big theme for me. Porque luego se siente que no estás haciendo, pues you're not, it feels like you don't got no motion. Pero you do. It's just like about patience and trusting the process. Porque, pues con la galería ahorita que hicimos fue mucha, dealing with other people is just really annoying.
I always tell Julio when it's like a big group, it's so hard to handle. Like it's so hard. Like people want to do this thing, that thing, go their way, and it's like you're trying to like handle like 50 people at once. It's unimaginable.
And you have to like change your attitude. You have to get out like your persona sometimes too. Because you have to put a foot down, you have to put a foot down. I feel like the first time I ever like felt like sometimes you need someone or you need a team. It was during my fashion show. It really I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to become a whole different person. And then after that, that's when me and Hadi, when we started getting more closer into like, hey, like I need help. I can't do this by myself. And she also was able to get it out of her comfort zone. It's like, okay, like we have to talk to these people. Communication is always the key. I think that we learned.
Communication is always the key, and I think you found that within Wendy.
Yeah,
she's like your right hand girl. Like, holding you down.
She always gets it done, bro. She's great. Ella resuelve.
Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Wendy talked about just doing, and I love Jasmine Rocket, who are kind of in charge of that space. We're in charge of the space at the time, but it's just a matter of having to coordinate, like when can I go in, when can I leave. So me and Wendy talked about renting a space that's almost like a retail storefront that would serve as like a gallery space. Then we could host all the shows we want. That's something that I have been thinking, considering. I don't know if you guys noticed, I started, and I'm falling behind on this project, but I started a series of interviews like this with several people, and I wanted to interview artists as well. It started with artists who were in my show, and I still have to go through that footage and edit it and stuff. She's like a little like side, like, very personal project of mine. I'm not sure where it's gonna go, but I think I'm gonna explore my music stuff through that avenue. It's gonna be like a little radio show or whatever, with
That'll
some
be
interviews
interesting.
sprinkled in. Yeah. Y me gusta mucho. I think I'm like a big fan of building brands, creating a vibe. That's why I really enjoyed like the very thematic element of my last show. I have the vibe, así tengo, because I'm an artist as well. I have all the graphics and stuff, and it's something that I want to take care of all by myself. I know that there's challenges within that, but for now, I want something fun. I feel like art, painting and stuff, como que it became a little bit of a chore between selling and having to market yourself, and I'm like at a crossroads with that. But I wanted something that was just for myself and for fun. So that's what that little project is about, and hopefully I can get the interviews out soon.
So keep watching her
Yeah,
feed.
We can't wait. Like from the way you're saying it, it sounds really interesting. And again, it's always just about starting, uploading it. From there, that's when you're just starting your journey, walking.
It's really hard whenever like hearing, I guess, outside perspectives or yes. I understand that people are always trying to help, but it's a little bit hard for me to kind of separate what I should and should not take in for myself, you know?
Yes. You know, those
Guys.
outside comments, I think, a veces pegan because, you know, you love it so much. And if someone, like, you know, you hear a comment about this and now you're like,
Es más como, yeah, we're like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Or I was working with my producer who is such a go-getter, and I love and I admire that about him. Pero yo siempre he sido más como que, like, go with the flow. We were trying to find each other's rhythm, and he's like this. He had several he had several interviews scheduled for me, pero ya estaba cansada. Like, it didn't even feel like I was having a natural conversation with these people because it was so much, and it was.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it, right? I'm grateful for all of the opportunities, but very fast paced, and I didn't know if I should have picked up my pace a little bit. Like, I didn't know if it was just like a difference in personalities or if it's like kind of a sign for me to, you know, buckle up.
But also, you know your pace, you know, like what you can handle too, because, you know, if you keep going, sometimes you're gonna burn out yourself. And also, if this is something you're very passionate about, you don't want to go to a point where actually you don't like it anymore. If you're like, you know, something like Adi always told me, if you're not having fun,
Why
then
do it?
Why do it?
Do you guys have that sometimes?
So yeah, a friend of mine actually told me, it's like, oh, like, you know, everything that you're doing, like, if you're not having fun, like, why do it? Like, you know, just, you can stop at any moment if you're not having fun. So for you, I think you definitely did the right choice, where it's like, you know, take a break, take a breather. You know, you can get back to it whenever you can, whenever you feel more comfortable. I always say self-care is very important. So if you're not doing well, you can't take care of others. You know, if you're not doing well, like, you can't give that creative outlet to others. You know, you can't have a decent conversation, you know, to interview. Me and Julio are definitely like, I feel like I'm more of a planner, and then Julio.
No, yeah. So she's like, yo, we got to do this. But we are having fun. But it does become a lot sometimes too, where it, you know, we're both overwhelmed, either she or me. So that's where we help each other. There's moments where, you know, we're both just not in the same mindset. We have to talk. You know, it's always, again, communication. We talk about it. How can we do this better, or how can we fix something that so it won't happen again?
It's always about communication, and, you know, as long as you know, with your person, like, as long as you communicated in the way that you felt, and you felt like everything you had to say, you got it off your chest, then, you know, as long as you feel comfortable with that. But you know, it's always very hard. It's hard to, like, get creative, especially when you're not in that, like, creative mindset, you know. And I think music definitely is a huge tool for you.
I'm so excited.
And yeah, I'm just like hearing about, like, the playlist, that, how, you know, you said Radiohead, and I was like, oh, like, these are all, like, the 90s, like, you know, like, older songs that we kind of grew up with. And it just, like, brought me back to that different era.
Yeah, you're like, yo, the brain is creating right now. I can't wait to get home.
I love my living situation. I love living here, pero mi cuarto is tiny. I used to have, like, toda una sala y todo, and I think that's part of why I stopped creating. Like you said, sometimes I'd be mad, inspired and shit, and then I get home, it's just like, oh, it's a mess in here. I don't even know where to move. So I really want a studio space.
I feel like your style of art is very different. It speaks to who you are, though. You have so many thoughts. You have so much to say. Like, even seeing your videos on IG, like, you have so much to say. You want to put it all out there, right? I feel like with your art, sometimes it's not just like, oh, it's not patterns or anything like that. You just, like, go with the flow and, like, do whatever, like, strokes you want to do in that moment. So what would you call your style? What motivated or inspired you to do your style?
To do what I do, I'm very inspired by graffiti.
Oh, okay.
I love graph. Textures, like this floor right here. I don't know what it is.
Very you, right? I was just like looking at it. It's so her.
All I could do was this floor.
Construction sites. I love it. I feel like I was meant to land here. I didn't know what an industrial area this was until I moved here. Yeah. And I've been walking past, like, seeing the welders and stuff. Just like, wow, so cool. So cool.
Let's go more also by, like, your fit, how you decide to style yourself.
I said I was gonna try construction worker core this summer.
She's bringing it back.
She's bringing it back, yo.
Bringing it back.
Bob the Builder over here.
I realized that industrial graffiti, very gritty textures. It's what I love.
Did you, like, grow up, like, doing graffiti, or, like, what got you into that? Like, that style?
I don't know, but I feel like it's part of why I've always been interested in the city, like concrete.
Like even in Houston, like you would see like the
Yeah.
graffiti, like the artwork.
Yeah. I've
So
always
you're just
been-
walking, you're like, wow.
Yeah. sometimes.
So
Yeah, your
style
start
of
down.
art is very like I wouldn't say Jackson Pollock, but
I
in a
do
way,
get that a lot.
right?
Yeah.
In a way, it's like that, but I feel like it's even past that at this point. You know, you're creating your own style.
I get a lot of Pollock. I get a lot of Basquiat as
Mm-hmm.
well, which I love Basquiat since I was young. You know, I love the texture in his art. Um, so I don't know anymore.
Like at this point, it's just Caro style.
Yeah, it is
it's
Caro,
Caro.
yeah.
It's you. You know,
Yeah.
It's Caro
you.
core.
Caro
Yeah.
core it
There you
is. I love
go.
it.
That's the new trend, Caro core.
Actually, I would like to enter a nice segment that we call Spooky Story Time. So our guests told a little spooky story, full
stories.
story, paranormal activity that
I
they
have
ever
a good
had.
one.
You know what's a good one? That muñeco you're holding has moved before, but yeah.
I was 13. I remember that it was like this whole thing because there was going to be a super moon and it was going to be really big. And I tried to stay up long enough to see the super moon. I fell asleep next to my camera. There's a big window. This is back in Texas. Big window like behind my bed. But I remember seeing the window and being like, I can't see the moon from here. I'm literally going to have to go outside. Pero me quedé dormida. And I woke up in the middle of the night because there was like a super bright light. There was a super bright light outside of my window. Y yo así toda, así, like, you know, ondeada, because I was like half asleep. And I look up and my eyes were so blurry. I didn't know if I was just like really sleepy and it felt like it was so bright or if it was so bright. But I look out and it's like the moon. And I'm like, oh my God, the moon is so big. And I took a picture of it. And then I fell back asleep. Like, there's no way you can see the moon from there. Like, there's absolutely no way that you can see the moon from my window. So I always thought that was like aliens or something. But I took a picture of it, and in the picture, it's just like this little circle. From what I remember, I was 13.
Yeah.
I've never been able to find the picture. It's my camera back home. And it was like the next day, I was like, whatever, you know? I was just no pienso las cosas. But like, when I got older, I was like, yo, like, what the fuck is that? Well, that's the only thing that like I've ever had to happen to me, right? Like, yeah. I don't know what that was.
That's pretty weird. Unsolved mysteries type of situation.
She got abducted.
She got
Is that why
abducted.
I'm like cursed for life?
Or blessed.
I'm not cursed. I'm a cursed.
Oh, you're a curse?
I'm cursed.
Why?
It's just like a running joke in my family that I have the worst luck.
You have the worst
You
one.
know, I got hit by a truck before.
What?
As a pedestrian, I was walking with my dog. Oh my God, I've told the story a million times. I was 16. It's Texas. The roads are enormous.
Like it can.
And this car on this lane lets me pass, and it was blocking the other car that was coming like that. And like I flew across the street.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like Regina George.
Yeah, bro. But I didn't break anything. My dog did though. My dog was on this side. That's what hurt me.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. She lived though. She lived another few years.
Damn.
Yeah. So things like that.
Do you still like
Things
have
like
like
that. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait. Things like that. You're thinking like it's normal. You know, it's a regular day in Texas. Like, you get hit by a truck or
That's what
whatever.
it feels like.
This is what happens every day in Texas. She's like, we're
We're
tough
strong
over
boned.
there.
We're strong boned over here. You know what? Ain't no truck gonna hurt
She said, Bill Tough.
us.
Texas tough.
Texas stuff. That's the Texas stuff.
That's the Texas tough. Nah.
They get hit by trucks and they get up, they dust it off.
Anyways, what were you doing?
I got up so fast and I was like, I need to go home. And they wouldn't let me go home, right? Because they're like,
Yeah.
you just got hit by a truck. I was really just trying to
But,
go
like,
home.
You didn't break anything? Or?
I didn't break anything, but I remember that it was really hard to walk like my shin. I thought I broke something. They sat me down and I looked down. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm telling you this. I looked down and there was just like blood and there was chunks here and I was like, ugh. Like, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to, like, I closed my eyes so fast. I felt something wet on my face. It's like, I don't want to know what I look like. I don't want to know what happened. But I was fine. I have a scar right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I have like scars everywhere. Yeah. You know, bad luck.
Wow.
No, because you know you've been. I think you have a lot of good luck. You know, you get hit by a truck and you chilling.
Oh, I guess That's a good
Yeah.
perspective.
That's not even half of it. I thought she was about to say, yo, yo,
Yeah,
no
that's a
way.
good perspective.
No, yeah, yo, ain't no bad luck there. Like you good, you chilling.
Live to see another day. What?
Yeah. Oh, that's the curse. Another day.
Oh my goodness. Wow. How old were you?
I was 16.
Shoot.
On that note,
What's your spooky scary story?
what at this point that doesn't matter.
That is the spooky
Girl.
scary story.
I don't even know how to move past that. But like, growing up in Texas, how was
I
that?
compare it a lot to living in Sunset. A lot more driving in cars.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of
There's
noise.
Not a lot of noise. It's pretty quiet.
Oh.
Texas people are more flashy. They're very flashy. They love to shop, específicamente donde yo crecí, ¿verdad? Because Houston has a beautiful community in general, but like where I grew up, there's not that big of a community. I wish there was. Texas is something else. When I first came to New York, I was studying political science because I wanted to be a lawyer. And at one point, I wanted to come back and do government in Texas because I saw how much there was like fucked up in the system. Growing up in a Latino community, primarily Mexican, and I never got around to that.
Wow.
But I've felt that lack of community in that space for a long time, but it's because there are no spaces, right? New York is such a historic old city that you have these organizations that have been here for a long time. For example, like over here tienes mucha gente de Puebla y allá no. Allá son más como norteños y todo.
They're mixed, no? Because there's some people that are like, you talk to them in Spanish and they're like, I ain't no Mexican.
Some Chicanos, yeah. It's a big part of my life that I don't talk about a lot. My dad has Chinese restaurants in Houston. I didn't work there as much as my siblings, but I did, sometimes like pretend to work there and stuff. And there was some specific types of Chicanos that like if you spoke to them in Spanish, they would get mad. And I still carry that. I'll see someone who I think looks like Latino and I don't speak to them in Spanish because I feel like they're gonna get mad.
Oh wow.
It's very different.
Yeah.
No, yeah, because I feel like here you'll feel embarrassed for not being able to talk in Spanish.
Yeah, and a
Like,
lot of or even then they'll like try to like even if they're like no Sabos, they'll try to like communicate, like
They'll be like, no, they're gonna tell me I'm a no Sabo kid.
like boogie over here.
What? Yeah.
Are you no Sabo?
Yeah.
A
Okay,
little bit.
a little bit. There's some words that don't be wording, so like. Well, we're coming to an end to this episode. We will just want to say thank you again for being part of this.
Thank you guys for inviting me.
That was quite a story. Like I have nothing to say to that. I have no spooky story.
But what would you say, or because you do hold your inner child deep within you, I think.
Yeah.
But what would you say either to your inner child or to another, teenager out there that's like wanting to get into this creative field, or, that little girl in Texas that wants to move to New York City to, fulfill her big dreams.
Yeah. Or if you went back to the future and you saw yourself as a kid, what would you tell that person?
I got you.
Las pilas.
Bueno, eso también, porque yo siento que a veces, no sé ustedes, pero en la escuela te dicen, do something practical, do something that's gonna make money, and maybe that's part of this mindset that we have to carry because of struggle that like our parents have been through. Pero don't deny what's inside, follow it, even if it doesn't feel like it's making sense right now. If it makes you feel good, like create. If you are feeling something very heavy, just put it out there on paper, through words. I don't give a fuck. Just do it. And don't listen to what anybody says. Don't try to listen to like reasons within limits, right? But I think sometimes people try to help, but they're hurting. Don't listen to nobody. If you know what you want to do, just do it. Just do it. If you know your limits,
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that.
And on that note, we're done. Bye.
All right, peace out.